According to a research, more than two-thirds of insurance companies use predictive analytics to reduce issues and expenses. And 60% say that data has helped increase sales and profitability. Understanding the importance of this, we have come up with this tutorial on analytics in insurance. Now, before we go ahead with the session, I'd like to inform you guys that we have launched a completely free learning platform called Great Learning Academy, where you have access to free courses such as AI, cloud, and digital marketing. You can check out the details in the description below.
I said, even you become an analytics expert on children now. You're analyzing how many times he opens YouTube, how many times he opens Facebook, and how many times he does Skype. And I was like dreading it completely. I said, not again. Because the next thing she would say to me is, he should be playing more often, he should be doing more things. Why do you give him your iPhone? Well, I don't give him my iPhone, he takes it from me. There's a little bit of a difference there. So anyway, so before I talk about analytics in insurance, I presume all of you have got insurance cover of one form or the other in your life. Okay. I was introduced to the world of insurance about 17 years ago or 18 years ago when I was going to the University of Pennsylvania to do my master's in telecom and network engineering. And to get there, I had to buy insurance cover. And it was something like about $3,500 for medical insurance for 1 year. I couldn't understand why I had to spend $3,500 to buy insurance, because all these years in India, I never had insurance. I lived with my parents and went to Manipal, did my electrical engineering. Everything was fine. Whenever I felt sick, I just walked into the doctor's office and he would say, okay, come in, let's see what's wrong with you, and he would fix me. So I bought this beautiful piece for $3,500 and I go to the University of Pennsylvania to study, and guess what happens next? I developed some kind of an infection in my leg. So I said, wow, now the insurance will come in handy. So I go and meet the doctors on the University of Pennsylvania campus, and they prescribe me some medicines and they say, take your insurance with you and make sure that the insurance, you get covered for it. I walk into the shop, I get my medicines, and when I check out, the guy looks at my insurance cover and says, sorry sir, this is not covered, please pay $100. So that's another $100 added to my list of woes. Then that was how I got introduced to insurance. I came back and from the University of Pennsylvania, did a second master's in electrical engineering with a focus on nanotechnology. Worked for a little while in the Silicon Valley, doing consulting work for chip designing. Essentially, I was working at Starbucks making coffee. So if we ever have time and you want me to show you some tricks about making coffee, let me know. I came back to India. I started working for Reliance Infocom. Those were the days when there was no telecom towers were not there. We were kind of putting up telecom towers. I was a part of the network planning team. Started a business called Reliance India Call for them. I don't know if any of you have used Reliance India Call. It's an international long distance calling service. You use that. So I designed it from scratch, from everything from scratch. There was nothing there when I started the design process. One day I was summoned in the office and I was told that the boss's office, and said, this is what you have to do for the rest of your life. So I said, fine, let's start. I was there for a while with them. Then I came back to Delhi to work for G Capital. My office is down the street, my old office, as a Six Sigma black belt. And then I went on to Hewlett Packard as a quality and operational excellence leader in Bangalore. And following that, I went back to the Kellogg School of Management to do my MBA. And this time, I was a little wise. Instead of buying my insurance cover in Chicago, I hopped across Tata AIG in Bombay and bought the cover at 1/5 the price. I told a couple of my friends who still thank me till today for that. Anyways, the good news, I never had to use my insurance cover again. I was always worried that I bought it in India with Tata, with ICICI and Lombard. I don't know if it's going to work or not work. So I went to Kellogg, did my MBA. That was 2010. We walked into the Kellogg campus, and 15 days later, we see some of the big names like Bala Subramaniam, Deepak Jain, and all come and say, we have some good news for you. Lehman Brothers just went down. You can imagine what we were thinking. All the potential investment bankers with very strong background in quants who wanted to do Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan, everything just went off. My entire batch of 850 people, only 8 people went to investment banking. And only those people who were in America, because they refused to do the visa because they had taken money to bail themselves out or back themselves out. After I graduated from Kellogg, I joined Zurich Insurance Group in Hong Kong as the chief of staff to the regional chairman. So I was covering a ground between Africa to Australia, and I don't know what I was doing, but I was trying to keep up with it. And one fine day, as you know, as most of you work in the corporate world, decisions are taken. And one of the decisions that was taken was, why don't we send Tushar to London? I said, I'm not complaining. Happy to hop across to London. And why don't you go and become an actuary? I said, actuary at 35 with a child? Are you sure you want me to study more? It's not a good, isn't the studying enough? But then that was a deal. You had to become an actuary. That's what the boss wanted. So I went across to London. I started working in the London markets. I worked there for 3 years. I became an actuary. I am a member of the Society of Actuaries in the USA and affiliated to the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries in the UK. And then last year, I decided to come back home for very, very strong personal reasons. It had to do with my children. And I came back home. I live in Vasant Kunj, and I decided to start teaching, because I've been teaching on and off in the corporate world, sometimes Six Sigma, sometimes accounting, sometimes finance, and a bunch of other things. I started teaching, and now I enjoy my life. I teach. I'm happy with what I have, and that then got me back in touch with Great Lakes. That led to a discussion with Arjun Nair, and now we are sitting here and talking about this topic on analytics in insurance. What is very interesting is that most people confuse insurance with banking very, very easily. And trust me, I'm guilty of doing the same thing. I did it for most of my MBA life. Insurance, it's a part of banking. Why worry about it? It's not. It's a very, very separate industry. It has got some very, very unique features, and it has got different kinds of things to look at. And I will talk about it today in a little bit more detail. And at any point in time, you guys feel that we should cut short, move forward, fast forward, let me know, because I'm happy to move forward. So the plan is today: risk and insurance, an insurance company, data and analytics, current trends and challenges, and around the world. Around the world is me talking about the different markets I have seen over the years of working, what I have experienced in different parts, from all the way from Australia to North America, what the regulators have told me in one-on-one discussions, and so on. I'll talk about some of those challenges so that you get a perspective of that. Current trends and challenges, we will talk about cyberware and cyber warfare and terrorism and a bunch of things like that. Data and analytics, I have a couple of basic simple models to run you through. I can either talk the maths or we can walk the maths. You have time to figure it out because it is 4:30 in the clock. I can talk the maths or we can walk the maths. An insurance company, we will talk about an insurance company, and I wanted to show you what structure of a basic insurance company looks like, what are the different functions that an insurer does. Honestly, I had no clue when I joined Zurich Insurance Group what it was. In fact, in the interview, my boss to be said, you know what, you are smart, but you don't have any idea about insurance. You need to come here and learn. And then we talk about the basics of risk and insurance, which many of you would be familiar with. So moving on, what is risk and insurance? So first of all, not all risks are insurable. Somebody comes and says to me that I want a life cover for infinite amount. What am I going to say? Can I do the risk for him? Obviously not. I can't give him infinite cover for insurance. So even your life might be worth infinite, but for me, I can't cover you. Somebody goes to Las Vegas and decides to play and bet in the casinos and loses money and says, you know what, I want an insurance cover for that because I might lose money. I'm sorry, I can't cover you for insurance for doing gambling in Las Vegas. So for risk to be insurable, the following conditions must hold. The policyholder must have an interest in the risk being insured. So we are more concerned about burglary in our house than someone else's home. I think that's a universal fact. A risk must be of a financial and reasonable quantifiable nature. I just said you can't do risk for infinite amount. It has to be some amount of money that is going to be covered. If it comes out, you pay that much. And the next thing is the amount payable by insurance policy should have some bearing with the relationship the financial loss has incurred. Or you know what, my car has hit a tree. Neither my car is insured, neither the tree is insured. But it's a loss for me. You should bear the loss. Why? I don't think that makes sense, right? Your car is not insured. By the way, in the West, people insure trees. You know why they insure trees? Because your neighbor might, if it falls into their house on a garage or something like that, your neighbor might sue you. So you have to insure the fact that an event like a tree falling into your neighbor's house on the garage, if it causes damage, you're going to be insured. But whatever be the situation, the important thing is that it has to be some relationship between the claim that you are asking for and the kind of risk, that relationship that you've had. So let's talk about a few of them. I have taken some interesting pictures. The one Here is a very, very common sight you see in some parts of the world. Then you see a house burning, you see cargo, and any idea where this is from? The one at the bottom here with the plant? Fukushima, Japan. Yes, it was that tsunami that hit them. It's taken from there. And let's talk about this. I think I'm going to expect the audience to tell me more about it than I can tell you about it. Automobile insurance. All of you've taken it. What do you think is good about automobile insurance? Anything good about it? You don't have to pay the fine for the cops. And what do you? Has anybody ever been in an accident? Hopefully not. But have you ever been in an accident? And what has that experience been? Okay, so you have some familiarity with it. Automobile is one of the most well-studied form of insurance in the world. Everywhere people take automobile insurance, and we will see how analytics has made this entire automobile insurance industry a loss-making industry. And I will talk about aggregators and how in the United Kingdom most most automobile insurance companies are facing this challenge of making big losses. We'll get to that point. Remind me to tell you about that. All of you had fire insurance you've seen. I don't want to talk about fire insurance. What else? You've seen marine. Marine is basically this cargo getting all blown up or something like, or the ship going off. Power plants. You see a power plant at Fukushima. Supply chain. Supply chain was one of the biggest concerns when the Fukushima blast happened. The worry was that all the supplies out of Japan would be disrupted, which would lead to business interruption risk in various parts of the world. So I'm waiting for some parts to come in from Japan. It can't come in. The second problem was none of us knew what kind of contamination would have happened in these goods which are being shipped on the seas, because we did not know what kind of exposure they had with this Fukushima blast. So it had the entire supply chain was disrupted across the world. One was the late arrival of goods, and the second one was contamination of goods. Ports were checking continuously to see if there was anything which was contaminated and if they were allowed to come in. Because you see, when an event happens or a crisis erupts, we go into some kind of a shock and we start thinking about the worst possible situation because we want to mitigate risk. It is a different story that worldwide no such contaminated cargo was delivered, because they managed to control the nuclear reactor inside and there was no contamination. But this is what happens with insurance. You saw that when September 11 happened. What happened to the aviation market? The insurance premiums in the aviation market post September 11 just skyrocketed. Everybody wanted aviation premium. The rules were very, very strict. People were willing to pay any kind of money to get aviation premium. That was back in 2001. Business interruptions, very, very common. You see this even with IT. Since I also work in an IT company, people take business interruption risk because the optical fiber cables which are laid under the ground, if they get cut, you lose a lot. And people say business interruption and cyber security, they're complementary. Yes, but we in the insurance world look at it as mutually separable. So we have a different price for business interruption and a different cover for cyber security, which we will talk about in a few minutes. Construction, I don't have to talk much about it. We all know what can happen in the construction environment. Cargo, crop insurance. I wanted to talk about crop insurance. All of you have heard about the crop insurance in India, the government policy to do crop insurance. So if crop insurance is coming to India, why is it coming to India? We have famine, we have got floods. I mean, is that why it is coming to India? What is the government's thinking behind bringing crop insurance to India? Any thoughts? Yes. Correct about that as well. Anybody else? Why is the government encouraging crop insurance? I keep getting calls from a lot of companies in India saying, are you an actuary? Can you come and do this work for me? Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely. The thing is that yes, all those intentions are good. Even the government is willing to subsidize it. But the bigger challenge is, where are the regulations? Where are the processes? When is the IRDA going to give me a license? I know of at least 2 or 3 entrepreneurs who want to enter into the crop insurance market. And we were working on it. When I'm not teaching, I'm also working on some consulting projects. And we are struggling because we don't have the rules and regulations in place where we can go and get a license easily from the IRDA. So on purpose, I put up the crop insurance thing because it is a buzzword. You hear it every day in the newspapers. You read it, oh, the government is doing crop insurance. But the regulation part of crop insurance is not yet well understood. The licensing is a challenge. How do I make it happen? That is one of my biggest challenges. But that is not only a challenge in this country. Whenever a new product or a new class of products are introduced, it becomes a challenge anywhere. For example, cybercrime. In the UK market today, they are trying to make a product for cybercrime. It is a challenge because we don't understand it. The regulator is not willing to give a sign off and say, okay, for cybercrime, this is an insurance product, please go ahead and sell it. So there are some of, so regulation plays a very, very important role in insurance. Sometimes it's more constraining than in the banking sector, because they just want to be very, very sure about the fact that this insurance is actually insurance and you are not making some kind of a speculative product. Management liability. Any thoughts on management liability and what it is? I hope all of you at some point in time in your life might have this, because if you're going to sit on the boards of large companies, you might have to take management liability. Management liability basically talks about a situation where somebody sitting on a worldwide board is now being sued by the shareholders. Why? Because the shareholders believe that this person has taken decisions or his actions or her actions have caused shareholder value destruction in the market. Now, it's a different question what the courts will decide. The courts might say, no, the shareholders are wrong, or the courts might say that, no, the board of directors is, this person on the board of directors is wrong. But till such time the settlement happens, the insurance company steps in and pays all the legal fees. We continue to pay the legal fees on that entire thing till the person is either whatever has to happen has been decided. I used to do a lot of management liability cover in Europe for a lot of firms, Nestle, Microsoft, all the big names you can think about. Which is one country in the world where board of directors get sued a lot? I could never make money there. I tried my level best. I am sorry. Whereas in Europe, it was great. The business was awesome. All the premium I used to get, there used to be no claims because the regulations are so strict that to be able to generate a claim on which you have to be paid, the regulations are so strict that there will be no claims coming in. And that used to be great. Profit used to be awesome. But in the American market, arts and craft, exotic species also get insured. Talking about exotic species, should I tell you the story now or later? So what else do you think is missing in this? Anything that you can think of? Life insurance coming next. This is all property and casualty. I should have mentioned that earlier, property and casualty insurance. Yeah, that's there. Then you have got workers' compensation insurance. You don't hear about it so much in India, but it's a very, very big factor in the UK. Disability insurance generally comes under life, mostly on that side. Workers' compensation is missing. Cybercrime I did not put up there. Professional indemnity I did not put up there. Professional indemnity is what? I'm an accountant. I was doing your accounting. I missed a couple of zeros to the left and a couple of zeros to the right. Terrorism is missing. And I filed the case in. And guess what happened next? It was a wrong filing. Somebody sued me for that. Even lawyers get sued for giving bad advice. I used to write that insurance cover. It used to be a very, very nice market, except that in the Nordics is Norway and other places in northern, it used to be not an easy place for me to make money because they used to get sued too often. So I used to be paying a lot of claims there. I finally shut down my professional indemnity for lawyers service in the Nordics. I said, I can't make money. Somebody else can. I'm sorry. I don't want to go ahead. Yes, rental insurance. You don't have work. So if you're unemployed, you have that. So there are lots and lots of insurance policies which are available. Contingency insurance. So you can see there's a huge scope for analytics in this kind of world, and you'll see why in a few minutes more as we go deeper. The challenge for the insurance is on two accounts. When an accident will occur, I don't know. You're driving a car, you don't know when an accident will occur. The second challenge is how much is the amount going to be? How much amount will you be claiming from me? Are you going to be claiming 100 rupees or are you going to be claiming 10 lakh rupees? How much claim will you make? So both these things are not known. When the accident will happen and how much it will. And both of them have to be modeled probabilistically. All of you are doing some statistics, right? So that's the basics of what you've covered so far is what Pawan shared with me. You covered the basics of that stats and we'll see some of that basic how it is used in the insurance industry. So we have to always keep thinking about uncertainty, risk in a probabilistic manner. When will I have an accident? I don't know. How much money will be spent on repairs? I don't know. Whether I will have an accident or not, that also I don't know. So the whole idea behind the stats that you guys are doing will eventually help you put some basic estimates. We are never going to be perfect. Don't ever think that, okay, you put a model around it, you put an estimate around it, and this is the perfect estimate. I have made many models, but I can't vouch for any of them having been perfect. Because you make a model and you hope it will be perfect, and when the time comes, you find that it's not perfect because this factor missed out or that factor was not right. So that is the challenge in the property and casualty insurance. All of you are familiar with whole life insurance, right? So whole life insurance is when you die and you want untimely death. You know that you covered yourself for maybe 10 lakh rupees. Somebody had an untimely death. They take the money and give it to the dependents. How do people use it in the West? Inheritance tax. So what happens in the West, which is not happening in India, is that in the West, if my parents were to give me money, I will have to pay 30 to 40% tax on the money that I have inherited from them. So that's a huge amount of money. So children typically tend to encourage their parents to spend that money because you're going to be paying it to the government. In India, there has been a lot of discussion with the finance ministry bringing inheritance tax into the system to remove the the inequality between generations. My rich parents giving all their money to the next generation, they're doing nothing much but taking that money and growing it even further. So there has been a discussion around it. We do have some amount of very small inheritance tax, I believe, but in the West, it's a big concern. And therefore, the bulk part of your whole life insurance that you get if you have an untimely death. My father was between 35 and 55, and one day at 45 he passed away. He was not planning to pass away before that. He would have given me his money, and after 55, and after 55 I would have paid the inheritance tax. But he passed away at 45. I'm still very young in my career. I don't have so much savings in my bank. Now the taxman is knocking on my door and saying you have inherited so much money from your father. Please pay the inheritance tax. See, I had no plans to pay it at 45. I was going to pay it at 55. So what do? I invoke the whole life insurance that my father wrote on himself. I go to the life insurance people. They'll give me the money. I'll pay them. So that's one of the ways that is used. Term life provides benefit on the death of the life provided it occurs during the selected term. Ensure key personnel important for the company. So you often have term life insurance. In India also I have seen ICICI Bank, HDFC, other people sell term life insurance. It's for a very limited time period, maybe 5 years or 10 years. So during that time period, if something happens to you, you are insured, the money will be given to you. Why do we do it for sometimes we use it for key personnel because key personnel, some important CEO or some important chief operating officer or senior vice president, if something happens to that person, it can have major repercussions for the organization. So we get some money out of that. Endowment insurance, significant benefit to the dependents on the death, provides benefit to the life insured on a known date if the person is alive. Used as a saving vehicle, lump sum on retirement. So this is actually one of the most common ones you see around where people say that, in the previous one, what happened was you kept paying the premium. If you died, the money would be given to you. But if after 5 years or 10 years of the term insurance, the contract ended, then you get nothing because you just paid your premium and that's it. In this case, what happens is if you die in, let's say, a 10-year time frame or 5-year time frame, whatever you've chosen as your contract terms, you get you get the sum assured, which could be 10 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 4 lakhs. But if you don't die and you continue till the end of the contract, at the last, and when the contract matures, they give you a lump sum amount of money for the premium that they have been collecting from you over the course of the time. So they collect the premium, you're not dead, let's give you something in return. So obviously, for giving you any kind of extra features like giving you a lump sum amount of money if you don't die, the kind of premium you expect here is going to be much higher than the kind of premium you're going to expect in this case. I have an example built in and I'll show it to you in a couple of slides. And then you have got income protection, provides income during incapacity. We also talked about critical illness, cash sum on the diagnosis of critical illness. Long-term care provides financial security for nursing home care. Joint life, sometimes couples take out joint life insurance policy where, if the husband dies, then it goes to the wife. If the wife is dead, it goes to the husband. So you have a combination of different kinds of joint life policies that you can take out. Kind of the challenge for the life insurer is when an accident and death will occur. I don't know when an accident and death will occur. And to kind of deal with this timing unknown phenomena, we deal with something called mortality tables. This is just an example of a mortality table. At age X, we started with about 1 lakh people were alive, and by age 110, we are down to 0. At every age, a bunch of this 1 lakh people, of some portion of that 1 lakh people who were there, will keep falling off the curve. This data is taken from the UK, but it is a very, very old data. As you can see, it is 2000 cm. I took this data just to show you what are mortality tables. So this guy it will be different. Every country will be different, every region will be different, and they also kind of have different kinds of other factors like smoker, non-smoker status. In the previous years, 20, 25 years ago, when we didn't have so much of technology available, they said, are you a smoker or not a smoker? That used to be part of your insurance forms. And they have created these mortality tables based on, are you a smoker, are you not a smoker? It will again be different for men and women. I've just taken a very generic one, so gender is like this. So there are lots and lots of different tables. Depending upon what you're trying to insure and who you're trying to insure, you want to go to the relevant tables. Okay. So this is what it is. As you can see, at year 1, we have lost some people. At year 2, we lost some people. By the time you hit 36, we went from 100,000 people were alive. Now we are only 97,065 people alive. Keeps falling off, falling off, falling off. So we are only talking about that initial cohort, let's say that 1978. So in 1978, so many people were born. We are only going to follow the 1978 cohort. We are not going to follow 1979 cohort. So again, because you see, as lifestyles are changing, people are living longer. So somebody born in 2010 perhaps will live much longer than somebody born in 1978. So we have to keep changing it. In fact, I did not know that the classroom is going to be like this, but this is a book. In this book, you have got lots of these tables built in. So we actuaries, when we start trying to do some calculations, we have to pretty much go into these books, take out these numbers and kind of plug them into our calculations. And sometimes and this book is not holistic, it has only got some relevant tables, but there are books like this which are published, which just tell you about mortality rates of different countries, different people. The latest one that has been published was, I think, for 2015. I have not seen anything beyond 2015. Anyway, let me put this back, otherwise. So you have this kind of books here. Moving on to this, how much money should the insurer pay as per the contract document, whatever you've insured yourself for? Can analytics help? How? Making this table is not easy. What I have given you is the output of this table. We actuaries have to actually make this table. So we have to do lots and lots of studies by looking at different samples and trying to figure out why is this 9907 and not 99999 or something like that. So that's where analytics comes into play, and you will learn about some of these modeling skills when you do your advanced stats classes. So I'm not going to delve too much into it, but you will learn about it. Yes. No. So government also has actuaries. They're government actuaries. So government has actuaries. So they are called government actuaries. Those people have typically about 25 to 30 years of actuarial experience. And then that's how they do it. So pensions. I wish this was still true. Unfortunately, it's not, making my life a little bit more challenging than it already is. Type of pension plan in which an employer promises a specified pension based on your earnings history, tenure of service and age. My parents, when they retired, they went onto this pension plan. The pension amount that they receive is taxed by the Indian government and it automatically goes there. This is called the defined benefits pension plan. World over, defined benefits pension plan is now fading away. The few countries that still offer it are India, only the government sector, Ireland, India also stopped now. Okay, so that Ireland and Canada. So they offer it for select people, but the fact of the matter is that people were finding it, the burden of paying pension to people with this kind of benefit was becoming too much, and the government was not being able to come up, or any other sponsor in India or in other parts of the world was not being able to come up with a feasible financial mechanism to be able to fund what they had promised. So now all of us have had to forego this. I mean, I envy my parents for this piece, because it's a nice sum of money they get. It doesn't matter whether the Bombay Stock Exchange has crashed, Doesn't matter if New York has gone topsy-turvy, doesn't matter if there is something happening in North Korea, they get that pension. I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. So if I'm not going to be that lucky, I'm going to be a little bit unlucky. It build up a pension pot using your contributions and your employer's contributions plus investment returns and tax relief. At retirement, part is paid lump sum and the remaining part is converted into an annuity. Now this is what bulk of Europe is on. This last statement that you see here, at retirement, part is paid lump sum and the remaining part is converted into annuity, is a very, very contentious topic. And it's discussed, let's put it this way, not very warmly in the European markets. Because people there feel that, why should you decide whether 70% of my pension should be converted into an annuity or not? Or 60% of my pension, which I have earned over the 35 years of working, should be converted into an annuity or not. But before I talk about converted into an annuity, what is an annuity? Annuity is a bulk payment that you receive every year. So you say, so let's say that you had a pension of 100 pounds. At retirement, they said, okay, you can take 30 pounds. So you took out 30 pounds. The remaining 70 pounds will be paid to you annually as long as you live. So that 70 pounds is now converted into another financial structure. You will not get 70 pounds each year, but you will maybe get 7 pounds each year for every year till such time that you live. The issue here is that people are unhappy with the government having a decision in this as to why it should be 30-70. Why can't it be 50-50? Why can't it be 60-40? And on top of that, there was at one point, there was even let's put it this way, there was a regulation which said that you had to have taken annuity from this particular company or that particular company. Now those things are changing rapidly after Brexit and a bunch of other things. People are now giving more freedom as to where I can, what percentage. They're making it more flexible. You can take between 30 and 50% at one go, and the remaining amount of money has to be converted into an annuity. So this is a interesting thing that keeps happening in Europe. And so imagine what happened when Lehman Brothers collapsed. All of us were sitting in the atrium and watching our pensions disappear because it was all linked to the market and the market was crashing. Somebody was asking me a question. That's why, but the thing is that now this option is not available, so we have no choice but to go. So it automatically puts us at risk. So one thing I've done myself is that I worked in different parts of the world and I've left my pension pots in different parts of the world. I didn't bring them home because first, if I took it out, I would have to pay taxes because I'm not 65. And second, I was playing the game of diversification that, if one goes down at least somewhere in the world, I'll get something on retiring. Let's move to the second piece, an insurance company. Well, this is my structure of what an insurance company looks like and does look. Most insurance companies do look like. There are always a few things that would not be there, and if you can always tell me about it. There is this underwriting function, the claims function, actuarial, marketing and distribution, risk engineering, finance and accounting. And under all of this is the operations and information technology. So, kind of pretty much shouldering the entire insurance world. And then you have got these customers, regulatory and regulators across the world, and you've got these shareholders who give you the initial seed capital to run an insurance firm. The next thing I'm going to talk about is just go a little bit deeper into each of these functions and explain to you how analytics, which is what you are here for, plays out in each of these functions. It is, as I said, I just drew these boxes without saying who's supporting whom, just outlining them on the slide without mentioning whether this is supporting or not supporting, because human resources at times does play an important role in insurance, and we'll talk about it in a couple of minutes. No, there is no standard like that. It is pretty much the actuaries who certify it. People who create it are generally non-actuaries who are still trying to become actuaries. The certification and the sign-off is done generally by actuaries. So, underwriting risk is identified, selected, priced, and sold to the end customer through the broker, agent, or directly. And you kind of have met some of the brokers or agents in your life. Knowledge-intensive and people-dependent industry. Analytics is used to do the following things: determine the rating factors that impact risk and are relevant for pricing insurance contract. Some of the rating factors are geography, gender, profession, credit history, and cover specific details. By cover specific details, I mean that these are details depending upon what kind of insurance you're buying. For example, if you're going to buy arts and craft versus you're going to buy species versus you're going to get insurance for management liability cover. There are cover specific details. Quantify risk in terms of exposure, determine the price, deductible and cover, develop and use exponential rating models. Let me just step here and go. So this was on the screen. Let me just talk about a few of these things in a little bit more detail. So rating factors. The thing about rating factors is that it is not sacrosanct. I might, as an actuary, use these 10 rating factors. My friend in the other company, who's also an actuary, who's also trying to do the same, policy, might use a different set of rating factors. So these rating factors can differ. It can be very small. It can be very, very large. And that is why when we do pricing models or we try to make any kind of analytical models, it takes a very, very long time, because to start off with, we try to get the entire sea of rating factors. And as each rating factor we look at, we start eliminating and saying, this rating factor not needed, take it out. This rating factor not needed, taking out. The reason why we do that is because if you have too many rating factors, the model will become too complex. And if the model becomes too complex, the time to run the model on a system becomes too complex. Now imagine that you've made a pricing model and you've deployed it across the world. And a broker calls you and says, you know what, Tushar, you need to tell me in the next 15 minutes, what is the insurance cover going to be for HSBC Bank? Now here is my dilemma. In 15 minutes, I have this model, this entire model on a computer. I start typing in all the numbers that he has shared with me. But if the model is very, very complex and complicated, I'm going to ask for lots and lots and lots of detail, which I'm not going to be able to get in 15 minutes. So the question is that why would you make a model which has got a lot of irrelevant rating factors? In fact, once upon a time, I had a supply chain model in which one of my fellow actuaries had written as a rating factor, what will happen if the Earth's magnetic poles change over? So North Pole becomes South Pole and South Pole becomes North Pole. What will happen to the seas? They will go in the reverse direction. What will happen to the ships and the cargo? Will they be able to deal with that problem? But my point was that, okay, I understand where you're getting at. You really want your model to be rock solid in terms of thinking about these kind of complex situations. But, trying to figure that out and giving what should be the probability of this occurrence be. So this was a very interesting discussion over lunch. I said, this is a very interesting point about the North Pole and the South Pole changing over, but I don't think it is going to be very relevant, though I understand where you are coming from, because you want your model to be rock solid. So that is some of the rating factors. Exposure, basically what kind of exposure you are talking about. Are you talking about, an exposure is in terms of amount of money or in terms of cargo, like, if you're doing marine cover, are you saying that you have got inventory goods of so much going through the system? This is the amount that will be on risk if something happens to the ship. So that is what an exposure would be. For us, for a human being, what is the exposure? Life. We are the exposure unit. If we die, we die. That's exposure, right? Price, deductible and cover. So price, all of you know, because you all have bought insurance cover. What is the deductible? Exactly. So deductible is a very interesting thing. They basically try to eliminate relatively high frequency, low severity costs. Now let me give you an example. So when I remember that example I was talking about, where I went to the University of Pennsylvania, I got sick and then I had to go to the hospital to buy the medicine. The bill was something like about $100. And the cover that I had purchased, it said that only more than $500 is, if the bill is more than $500, does the insurance trigger in. Which means that anything less than $500, who will have to bear? I will have to bear. Now I didn't, as I said, I did not understand insurance. I had this policy which was great, but did I understand it? No, I did not understand it. It was only when that guy pointed it out to me and said that under 500 you bear, over 500 we take it. Then it dawned on to me, oh, of course, much later I came to know it is something called deductible. And then there is a coverage. Actually, it should be coverage limit. It says cover here. Oh, I have a Mercedes. This Mercedes is whatever, $1 million or some number like that. I want an insurance cover for this. I want you to cover me for $1 million. Then I look at all the rating factors. 25 years of age, lives in Los Angeles, drives very on the Big Sur, frequently, drives fairly high speeds, kind of maybe I have some inkling about your how risky as an individual you are, and then I say, you know what, I don't think I'm going to give you $1 million of cover. I'm going to cover you only up till maybe $500,000 or $500,000. So you kind of limit what the person can ask you for in case of a damage. So if the person has a damage of $1 million and I have limited him to only $500,000, what happens? The remaining money who pays? He pays. Or if he goes and buys another insurance from somebody else in the market for the remaining between 500,000 to 1 million. So lots of these kind of combinations are possible. Develop and use experience rating models. What are experience rating models? What is the meaning of experience? We often talk about, in India we say how many years of experience you have got, right? So the question is, what is this whole thing about experience rating models? What is experience, first of all? Working knowledge, right? So over time we figured out that if the car is red, the driver is 25 years of age, he lives in Vasant Kunj in Delhi, he's a smoker, his average credit bill is X, and he's not married, he's single, he likes to go out on holidays driving his car, what should be the premium I should be charging this particular person? So over the years, this is experience rating. Over the years, you kind of, with experience, you kind of figure out of thousands of people you see what kind of premium you should be charging. And that is what also happens with all of us. When we go, all those things that all the forms that you fill in which you have to, all the forms that you fill in which you give your details about everything, that's a part of experience rating. The reason why I have done Berkshire Hathaway was because Berkshire Hathaway, so we talked about automobile, home insurance and a bunch of things like that. The speciality about Berkshire Hathaway is that it does specialist insurance. The kind of insurance that no one would want to do. If I was to tell you that Sanat Jayasuriya got his forearms insured, would you believe me? Yes? If I was to tell you that Hollywood and Bollywood actors get their faces and hairlines insured, would you believe me? Voice, exactly. But that kind of insurance needs a lot of expertise. And that kind of expertise is not easily available in the market. It's a very knowledge intensive market. That's called specialty insurance, and Berkshire Hathaway specializes in specialty insurance. They don't tend, now they have started to do a little bit of car and home, but in the earlier days, back in mid 80s and big 90s, they were only focused on doing specialty insurance cover that no one would do. As a result, what happened next? They would charge heavy premiums. And they figured out that there are certain kinds of risks that will never have a claim. Now, how did they figure it out? There is no science to figuring this out. It is the executives who were doing it. They had knowledge. They did some basic mathematical calculations. There were some very, very bright and smart people who figured out that this kind of insurance is never going to result in a claim, and I can charge a big amount of money. The big amount of money was charged. Then what happened with the big amount of money? The big amount of money was used to generate more assets and more money because it was put into private equity ventures. So if you read the entire story about Berkshire Hathaway, you will realize that there is something called insurance float. Insurance float is when you pay the premium, the time you pay the premium and the time the claim arises, you have the money in your pocket. And it's very likely that even when a claim arises, it will not be the full amount, it might only be a very small amount. So you make underwriting profit, and that underwriting profit you can use for other things that you want to do. But now it's not that easy. Back in 82, 83, the government and the regulations were a lot more easy in terms of allowing specialty insurers to come into the market. Now you have to really explain why you want to enter the market, and how much of capital you have, what happens if there's a big catastrophic loss that comes up. So it's no more that easy, but in those days, yes, it was easy. Claims, I think we've all talked about it. There are a couple of things I want to talk about claims. The first thing I want to talk about claims is the frequency of claims. We use the word frequency of claims very, very often in the world of insurance, which essentially basically means how many times does this individual customer register a claim with us. Now, just because you registered a claim with us does not mean that we're going to pay you. It could happen that you registered a claim with us which we looked at and said this claim cannot be paid. So it is claimed but not paid. And then other ones which is called claim but paid. That also tells us about the propensity of you doing a lot of claims. And that then tells us that next time when you come up for insurance cover, I must think about it. Oh, this guy has done a lot of claims that he has registered against in the last 1 year. Many of them not paid, but the propensity to come up with a claim is very, very high. Let's increase the insurance. So that is called frequency. Looking at frequency, you model the entire frequency graph and see how you can increase it. What is severity? How big the claim is exactly. So how big the claim is and what the amount is. Again, we use experience rating models and loss reserving models, and I actually have a loss reserving model for you today to work on in the next 15 minutes. So we do that. Zurich Insurance Group. So as you must have noticed in each of these slides, at the last point, I always talk about something to do with the industry so that you can give you some flair about what's happening in the industry. Zurich Insurance Group, why is it here on the slide? It is here on this slide because what is a nightmare for an insurance company? That is, yeah, huge amount of claims is definitely a nightmare. What is the second nightmare for them? Unclaims. Default on premiums, but then if you default, you automatically leave the pool. You don't get any benefit out of it. One of the biggest problems worldwide is fraudulent claims. And it is always low intensity fraudulent claim. $50 claim. A $50 claim, if I have to verify that dollar claim, the amount of money I will spend on verifying the dollar claim will be more than the $50 itself. So it has become a huge, huge problem. Now the big claims, the big ticket items like Irma and Fukushima and all of these things are big ticket items. It's very difficult to fudge these things. But the small ticket items become a big problem. And if you look at the leakages that happen in large companies when thousands of policies are being written, it's massive. And therefore, analytics is used heavily to weed out these kind of fraudulent claims by looking at way the person has been putting in claims, what kind of patterns the person has been using to do the claims. And it's not easy because you're trying to look for a pattern and a structure. And that's where machine learning and artificial intelligence comes in, because you're trying to figure out how do I catch this cluster of people who are fooling me. And it happens across the world. And there's no perfect science to fix it. And that is why we keep evolving our models as we learn more and more. Let's say the better. Actuarial, we have a bunch of people who do actuarial work. I used to do pricing actuary work. There's capital modeling actuary, risk actuary, pensions actuary, healthcare, enterprise. Nowadays, there's a lot of demand for these skill sets. So what do actuaries do? Actually, I will be honest with you. I only heard this term actuary 3 years ago. After finishing my MBA, graduating, starting to work in an insurance company, I did not know what an actuary does. And when my boss told me that you have to go and become an actuary, I was like, what is an actuary? What are you asking me to do? So I just wanted to ask you, what does an actuary do? So actuaries look at a broad range of economics, statistics, probability measures, and try to find solutions to problems such as Sanjay Surya's forum. If I have to insure it, what is the price we should be paying? Or for that matter, if I have to insure a power plant in Zambia, how much insurance should I be charging? What will happen if the AIG was to go down? What would be the repercussions across the entire financial services industry? And what would be the potential cost of this repercussion? So the reason why actuaries are made to do a lot of maths and stats and economics and finance and accounting is to try and bring together small parts of the world, to small parts of management and business into one box, using all the tools, try to solve some of the bigger problems. So and across the insurance spectrum today, you will find actuaries are there. The current CEO of AIG worldwide, Brand Upperpalt, who's just come at the age of 75, taken over the role of CEO. He's also an actuary, and he's trying to do building predictive analytics and machine learning in AIG's new growth story. In life insurance companies, underwriters are replaced by actuaries. You don't really need underwriters. You have actuaries. They are the people who run all the models. They are the people who can pretty much tell you what kind of price or what kind of premium you should be expecting to pay. Moving on to marketing and distribution, one of the most important pieces missing here is something called rate management. I'll talk about that in a minute. Marketing and distribution, like any other firm, you have to market and sell. You see it you see LIC's ads every day. I'm a big fan of my former company, Zurich Insurance Group's ads on YouTube. Or those of you who are pursuing digital marketing would be interested in seeing that. And then how does it help? We talk about customer analytics. We try to understand what kind of customers we have, how diverse are they, will they be willing to be our customer next year, will they not be willing to be our customers next year, did they meet the CEO in the last World Economic Forum event or not? Because retention is becoming a very, very big challenge. Why is retention becoming a big challenge? Because customers are finding easier ways to go from one insurance company to another insurance company, because so much of information is available. You can go look at the information pieces and go. So a lot of time that senior management in large companies spend is on retention, meeting key clients, customers, holding town halls, trying to make them all happy. And analytics plays a role in trying to weed out from the plethora of data that we have who are going to be our most likely customers to hop out. Sometimes we do want customers to leave as well. It's not that we want every customer to be with us, right? If you are a painful customer, you have got too many losses, perhaps we want you to go. But in this day and age, even that is becoming more and more difficult, because a customer leaving means premium going down, and when premium goes down, revenue goes down, and when revenue goes down, the question that comes up, is your insurance company really growing or not growing? So then what do? Then you come up with the next set of innovations, and you say, you know what, I'll give you insurance cover, but I'll put all these different exclusions and riders, which means that if a claim is registered against A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J up till Z, I'm not going to pay you. So that is one way of doing it, but customers are equally smart and they negotiate with you back and they say, look. So the role of aggregators, what did aggregators do to the UK car insurance market? Provided all the information, they made it like Make My Trip. How many of you have been to Make My Trip? All of you? What happens on Make My Trip? You can look at the different price points, travel tickets and everything and choose. So what the aggregators did was they went around all these companies, Admiral, AIG somewhere here, Devils, all their price points, what they offer, what they don't offer, everything was on here. Result, what has happened? Prices have dropped because competition is intense. And now what has happened is that the price points at which some of these insurance products are being sold may not even be sufficient to cover the basic claim that comes up. As a result, many of these insurance companies are making massive losses, and they are being supported by secondary and tertiary business lines within the large organization. So for example, you are making a big loss in automobiles, on your automobile lines of business, but you are being supported by your financial lines of business or your management liability lines of business or some other line of business. The second repercussion that has happened is companies are trying to sell off their car insurance businesses, especially in Europe, especially in the UK market. But who's going to buy a loss-making business? So the kind of valuations they are getting is not funny, and the question is that when the valuations are down, you're taking losses after losses, quarter after quarter, what happens next? Anybody from HR in the class? Anybody with an HR background in the class? Okay, what happens next? When you're taking losses, you can't sell your company, what happens next? Redundancy happens next, because the cost has to come down. So a lot of these people in these markets have lost jobs in the last 5 or 10 years because it's just not making money. Yes, Policybazaar has done the same thing. That's basically a copy of pretty much that. Risk engineering. Risk engineering. So is risk engineering important or unimportant for an insurance company? I was actually quite intrigued when I landed in Zurich Insurance and somebody said to me, you know what, we have an engineering team. So I got very excited. I said, engineering team? So you must be talking about IT, right? IT and engineering. They said, no, we do risk engineering. I said, risk engineering? What is this? I mean, oh, we go and visit power plants. We visit rigs. We go to all kinds of funky places. And we do. So this was one interesting thing, power plants with low plant load factor. I actually learned this thing in Dadri. Many years ago, I used to, well, almost now 20 years ago, I used to work in Dadri's power plant, which is near Noida, beyond Noida. So the plant load factor is basically how long the plant is operating and it is giving you power. If the plant load factor is low, there are only two reasons why it will be low. Either the plant is off, so you're not actually generating power, and the second factor can be what? Maintenance and breakdown. So the first thing you should be asking about from anybody wanting to do a utility company is show me your plant load factors. On the flip side, if the plant load factor is very, very high, let's say I have a plant load factor of 90-95, which means that out of 100 days, 95 days I am giving power non-stop. What does that mean? You are high wear and tear. And high wear and tear means my risk engineers are going to look at your maintenance models. They're going to see how you maintain your plant, because you have a very high risk kind of system here, and it's very easily going to result in insurance claims in the future. But the thing is that this is the kind of experiential knowledge that you get by going out there, working, and then bringing it back to the insurance industry. There is no textbook there which I can flip and say, oh, look at page number 67, part 5, and this will be available for you. It's not there. And that is why this industry is more of an art than a science. The science is there in terms of analytics and modeling, but it is really to assist the artists. The artists are the ones, the underwriters and the claims people. They are the ones who have an insight in the business, versus people like us who sit on our laptops and keep churning out numbers. Finance and accounting, won't go into it too much. Wanted to just highlight some of the ratios and some of the terminologies which you should know for the insurance company. For banks, it's a lot more easy. Okay. Underwriting profitability, earned premium minus claims minus admin expenses. Combined ratio, losses, which is claims, expenses by earned premium. Loss ratio, loss by earned premium. Actuarial model to determine capital reserves for future. Solvency, availability of capital to pay future claims. The finance department of an insurance company spends bulk of its life doing this. It is done in conjunction with chartered accountants as well as actuaries. The chartered accountant will sign off on the financial earnings number, which is sent to the regulator and so on. But it is the insurance folks and the actuaries who have to sign off on these things like capital reserving models and so on. And underwriting profitability is different from the regular profitability. You know what profitability is. Simple maths is revenue minus expenses. Underwriting profitability is what is the revenue that you earned on selling the policy, what was the claims you paid against it, and what are the admin expenses. Combined ratios are losses to expenses to earned premium. Companies which are not making profit would typically have combined ratios in the region of 106 to 108%. Which means what? You are dipping into your capital reserves in order to be able to pay your admin expenses and losses. And what has happened, and we talk about soft and hard market in a few minutes, but what has happened is that there is a huge drive to reduce expenses, because expenses is within your control. You know how much you're paying salary to the people who work for you, how much you're paying in commission and so on. And the loss ratio, of course, is the claim losses to earned premium. And solvency has become a very big chapter after what has happened in 2008. More and more companies are being asked to keep higher and higher levels of capital as to be solvent. What happened with GE Capital? What happened with GE? Does anybody know what happened with GE? So GE had a division called GE Financial Services, and it used to also do a little bit of insurance. It used to do a bunch of other things. The regulator in the US made GE as a company too big to fail, which essentially meant that GE had to keep a large amount of capital in order to be sustainable and workable. What did Jeff Immelt do next? They get their own bank, but because of that own bank, they had to keep a large amount of capital because they became too big to fail. So what Jeff Immelt did next was he sold off the entire banking division in bits and pieces. So Asia was bought by a private equity firm, Asia and parts of Middle East. Once they sold off their banking pieces, they were no more too big to fail, and they came out of that bracket. And once they came out of the bracket, they were able to do a lot more business with less capital than was actually needed. So that's one of the big things here. What this means for insurance companies is that you will be requiring more stringent procedures to ensure that you have sufficient capital in for future claims. So what companies currently do, so in other words, what I was just telling you about Berkshire Hathaway will no more be feasible. All that extra money that was there that you were playing around called insurance float, that is going to be still there, but it's going to reduce significantly. And there's a huge emphasis on operational risk. Operational risk means all the procedures and policies that you are following in order to make a contract or give a contract to a customer, are all of them being followed or not? And the problem with that is that there are two issues with implementing a big change like that. first is training people. You have to train people how it works. And second is implementing a system around it in terms of developing the IT system, the architecture, the governance framework, and everything around that, which is always very, very difficult to do. So every year, actuaries who are taking exams are asked in the exam paper, what do you have to say about Solvency II? They write their entire bunch of questions, and in the end they write, it has been speculated that it will be implemented next year. When next year comes, the same question is asked, same answer is given. It has been speculated that it will be next year, because people are realizing that somebody made these beautiful governance frameworks, but implementing is a nightmare, and that's a big challenge. Okay, investment management, asset allocation, asset liability management. So all the premium that you were paying to an insurance company, not all that premium will become claims tomorrow morning, right? It might become claims in the future. So I have figured out that, okay, so much of money will become claims. What should I do with the remaining money? I'll go and put that money in bonds and stocks. So I will get some returns on that money till such time that you come and claim that money from me against an event. Now that is what the function of investment management people are. They take that money, they make their investments. Typically, people in these roles have a CFA or a CA. Very few actuaries are there, but yes, they are there. They are also responsible for making sure that asset and liability are properly matched. You cannot be in a situation where your assets are less than your liability, because if that happens, that means you are insolvent, and tomorrow if a large claim comes, you will not be able to pay. Post the financial crisis, and this is where I think I'll need a pen. Post the financial crisis, what happened to the interest rate markets? It plummeted, right? And interest rates went down to almost about 0.25. And I'm talking about interest rates, I'm not talking about Indian interest rates, which have always been very on the high side, but I'm talking about what happened globally, especially keeping in mind what happened in the US. Now, all of you have done NPV, right? Now, NPV, today in the previous class, you've studied NPV. So when interest rates go down, what happens to investment income? It will go down, because you're not getting that kind of investment income, so it impacts you on the investment income side. This is where you get impacted. You don't get investment income because you're getting impacted. What is the second thing that happens? So you have studied NPV, right? NPV is equal to summation of cash flow at time t divided by 1 plus r to the power t. Isn't this something around these lines? The cash flows at some time divided by 1 plus interest rate. Broadly speaking, this is what it is, right? Now, the way insurance contracts are priced is that you look at future claims and you divide it by 1 plus r to the power t, and we have a couple of them coming up in a few minutes. Now, if this interest rates will go down, what will happen? Instead of going up, if it's going down, this entire number will be very, very large. And what I just told you was that we say that future cash flows divided by 1 plus r to the power t is insurance premium. So if you do that, you drop the interest rate, premium goes up, and when premium goes up, what happens next? Nobody wants to buy insurance. The premium is too high, I can't afford it. Unless you are absolutely pushed to buy insurance, you can't buy. Now, if you are not going to buy insurance, what happens to premium? Premium is down, your revenues are down. On top of that, you are also not getting sufficient investment income. So you are hit on two accounts. Your premium volume is down and your investment income is also down. What happens to profitability? Goes down. And when profitability goes down, what happens next? Redundancies happen next. It's as simple as it gets. If you're not going to be making, and because this is an industry which is very, very knowledge intensive industry. So the knowledge that you have about a particular line, like say fire insurance or motor insurance or car insurance, you can't just start a new company out of the blue like that. So it's also, if one insurer has got a bunch of underwriters who are doing fire insurance, another company also has got a bunch of underwriters who's doing fire insurance. Given the problem of interest rates is going to hit both the companies because they both exist in the same economy, both are going to let go of people. So it's not going to be that somebody from X can hop across to Y and somebody from Y can hop across to X. So in the markets today globally, a large number of people are jobless, even though they have been working in the insurance industry for ages, and they have got huge amounts of knowledge which they have gained. Because we are not making profits, we are not being able to sell insurance, it goes down. Okay, so you got that this double whammy thing which I keep talking about. Most of you are familiar with staffing, retention, mobility, promotability, cost management. I'm going to talk about this, the most important thing. So markets are down, not making money. We call in a management consulting firm and say, can you help us figure out what to do? Management consulting firm does a long-term study and says, these lines of business, we don't have a future. I think you should let people go. But the problem with letting people go is the following. Some of these people have got a lot of knowledge and network, because in insurance, business does not happen sitting in an office like you are going out there. In insurance, business happens when you take somebody out for a cup of coffee, and there you talk about and say, you know what, I have this insurance product, will you be interested in buying? Over the years, underwriters become experts, and they're seen in the market as key individuals who understand a particular line of business very, very well. When they depart a large organization and they go to another organization, they set up these large divisions. So not only do they take the customers with them because of the name that they have, they also take the relationship. So on one hand, you are saving cost by doing what? Letting high cost people leave the system. But on the other hand, premium is also dropping because customers are walking with these people. Because in this industry, there is a lot of value given to the experiential knowledge that a particular person brings about for how a particular risk should play out. So that is what I wanted to point out here, that many times people miss this point completely, especially management consulting firms they see insurance as any other industry. We can always replace talent, and talent can always be hired and bought and so on. It's not that easy. The bane of my life provides the foundation for organizations to operate. Data is needed for everything, right? You need it for pricing, you need it for developing exposure models, loss reserving. Quality data is needed to successfully implement the analytical models. Now let me stop here. The reason why I said quality data. Anybody you go and ask, you have data? Yes, I have data. I'll send it to you in 2 minutes. So this is how it goes one day. Lunch is over. I'm sitting in my office, just had a salad lunch, thinking about calling my wife, and I said, okay, in 2 minutes I'll do that. This guy has sent me some data. Let me open the Excel sheet and see it. I opened the Excel sheet. I had asked for a very specific thing. I had said, I want you to tell me what is my exposure. This is the big bank which I had to insure. I said, I want to know what is the exposure to this bank. Exposure means the risk to this bank. Or what is the kind of cover they're asking for. I mean, obviously, I know the bank by name. I know how big the bank is and all of that stuff. I open it. What do I see? I see that the exposure asked for is $10 trillion. $10 trillion. Do you know it's 5 times, or maybe 4.5 times, or maybe 4 times the size of India's economy? $10 trillion. Do you know what has happened here? Can you tell me what would have happened here? Why is it that when the data that came to me was for $10 trillion of exposure? Extra zeros? Correct. It was just a plain simple problem of extra zeros. Now the person entering the data into the system for this same policy, which was underwritten 1 year ago, issued the policy to the bank. The policy document has been mailed, gone. After issuing it, he started to put all the information in the system manually. He happily manually typed it in. He was talking, maybe doing something else, having coffee, tea, he typed it in. There was no maker-checker system in the process. So whatever he typed in was fine. He typed it in. He done his job. His job was to type the numbers, and numbers are typed in. Nobody checked that the numbers are not correct. Now I go to the operations team and I say, you know what? This is not making sense. What is the response I get from the operations team? Exactly. That's what I got. Where have you come from? Why are you asking me? Before you had 5 other actuaries who came and did the same work and went away without saying anything. So I start looking like, okay, so now the question is that if there was one company in the world which had this problem, no, I work for 8 of them. 8 of them have the same problem. Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a note back to my chief pricing actuary in Zurich. I said, sorry ma'am, I can't do the pricing for this. Here is the data. Please share your knowledge and wisdom of 30 years. She was in her mid 60s, had your knowledge and years of 30 years. I said, ma'am, I can't do it. I don't understand how to do it because you're asking me to do a cover for $10 trillion. I don't know, and I don't even know what the right number is, because this entire thing has been flowing in from the last 2 or 3 years from before, and nobody has been checking the system, and I don't know the history of it. Anyway, that was a different discussion that we had after that for 2 days, but I don't want to talk about that. Developed costs to implement models have fueled the data crisis. This is where all of the problems are. By the time, we are not being able to develop technology. My first question was, why does this person have to type everything? When he's issuing a policy, when he's doing the policy, when he's typing at the policy, all that information should be loaded in. Why do a separate job on it? It's like duplicating work. But then the answer was, we don't have the technology, we don't have the systems in place, and so on. You won't believe, I think one of the world's largest insurance companies has got, in London, has got some 2,300 data management processes. Just fixing that is a lifetime's work. Tianjin Port, oh, this one, escalating claims, USD 2.5 to 3.5 billion. So this is a classic example of what happened. In Tianjin, there is a port, and in this port, what happened was that there were some chemicals which were there, and all next to the chemicals were all these high-end imported cars, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, wherever. Some nitrogenous something, some chemical like that. It caught fire. The minute it caught fire, and because these were all imported cars, they were all insured by two of the world's largest insurance companies. And the best part of the story, they were not insured from one place. So some of them were insured from Hong Kong, some of them were insured from London. The same company, but different divisions of the company had insured different parts of the. So the report came out in the Bloomberg News, Tianjin fire, 200 so much $million. And we had our annual reports to publish, and the question to us was, have we kept sufficient reserves to pay the claims that are going to come? So my first question was, do we know what the claim amount is? So somebody in the company said it's $200 million. This is somewhere written in some records. So I said, fine. I mean, some senior person is saying it. I took it for face value, $200 million. Few more days later, there was more analysis, more digging around in various systems in the company, and that 200 became $300 million. 300 became $400 million. 400 became $450 million. My question was, why is it that we have no idea what our exposure to this is? We've insured them, right? We have the data. We know exactly what we've exposure is. We know exactly what the numbers are. The reason systems are not interconnected. So the Hong Kong guys have been called by phone and said, oh, please check for Hyundai and Toyota. Calling up the guys in Brazil and saying check. Calling up. So if you're different parts of the world are not interconnected, kept escalating. And guess what happened next? From a quarter in which we were all very happy about making a profit, suddenly became a very, very sad quarter, because we suddenly started making a massive loss. And the markets were expecting us to beat expectations. Instead of beating expectations, we were failing expectations. The end result of it, in a very, very convoluted way, was that the worldwide CEO was asked to leave. Emerging need for chief data officer has become, it's a new role that has come up. It's because a lot of companies are now having chief data officers, especially if you're having these kind of problems. So this is my view, and this is personally my view. It's not written in any book, so you won't find it. That insurance companies have got data, capital, and resources. If these are the three things that you have properly managed, and you have sufficient amount of it, you should be in good shape. Data, because in our business there is no production runs happening. So data is important because we know how much to cover, what is our experience, what is likely to happen, probability and stats, all of that. Capital to cover all our claims. And resources, by resources I mean all the kinds of experiential knowledge base that we're talking about in terms of claim specialists. So these are the three keys to insurance which I feel are very, very vital, and people often talk about this. They always talk about this. We talk about regulations, we talk about customers, we talk about all of those things. But if you were to think of it, step back and think of it like an analytical high level model, what it would be, then I would say that data, capital, and resources are the three things that make an insurance company tick. Data analytics. And in the interest of time, I'm going to talk the maths versus walk the maths. So we have got goal, find a fair premium for an insurance contract, which covers the expected claims and is competitive in the market. Determinants of fair premium are expected claim cost, administrative cost, investment income, and profit loading. Fair premium is given as present value of expected claim cost plus present value of admin cost plus present value of investment income, and then there's a profit load. Expected claim cost, look at the past claims data, frequency and severity, try and fit a probability distribution curve. It's called curve fitting. Compute the expected value, which is called pure premium. A frequency curve, a fitted frequency curve would look like this, which is nothing but the number of times an accident or an event has happened. We also have severity issues in terms of what is the amount of money that you'd be paying. So this is the amount of money is here, the probability that will happen is here. These are just representative graphs to show you what the frequency and severity models will look like. Then you've got administrative costs, marketing, taxes, claim handling cost, underwriting cost, commission. You've got investment income, return on investment, reduces premium charged, and profit loading determined by the CEO and the board. Shareholders expect a certain level of return, which is driven by return on equity. So these are the kind of four major buckets which we are using, which we will use today in the next few minutes to do some pricing work. And I'm going to keep it simple. Policy details. Policy is 1 year insurance policy on a car. No more than one accident is allowed on this policy. Policy provides full coverage, that is all the amount claimed is paid. All genuine claims are paid at end of year. Data and assumptions. Underwriting cost, 15% of pure premium incurred at BOY. What is BOY? What is BOY? Beginning of year. BOY is beginning of year, MOY is middle of year, and end of year is EOY. And why is this important is when you do the NPV calculations, you will realize that you have to take time into account, right? Something happening in the beginning, something happening in the middle, something happening in the end. So the loss distribution, to keep it simple, I said that there can be a loss of 1 lakh with a probability of 7%, and there can be a loss of 50,000 with a probability of 3%. Otherwise, there will be no loss. Now you will ask me that, is this the only thing possible? Of course not. There is a whole big distribution like a Pareto or a beta or a gamma or a normal or an exponential, but trying to help you understand and appreciate the concept, I kept it very simple. There are only two kinds of losses, one at 1 lakh and one at 50,000, 7%, 3% and otherwise. So the question is, how should we price this policy? What is the premium that if I was to come to you and I was to say that these are my requirements, what is the premium you are going to charge me? So the premium you can charge me is basically, we have to figure out the fair premium. Present value of expected claim cost, present value of admin cost, present value of investment income and profit load. So we have these four components that we need to be able to compute in order to calculate the fair premium. Let's go and see how it looks like in terms of the solution set. So in the solution, what do we have here? The pure premium is given as 100,000 multiplied by 0.07 plus 50,000 multiplied by 0.03, which is about 8,500. This is basically the expected value which many of you would have seen in statistics. Yes? Everybody okay with the first line? So what is the second line? Present value of expected claims. Why is the present value of expected claims a division like that? Because we are assuming that year 0, year 1, we are assuming that this 8,500 will come here, right? So to take the value back here, we will have to do 8,500 divided by 1 plus r to the time 1, which is 8,500 divided by 1 plus, what did I use here? 0.5%, so 0.05, which in this case comes out to be 8095 by point whatever, 23. So present value of underwriting cost. This is the cost, because what is this cost towards? It is towards underwriters. It could be the salary cost. It could be the cost of getting additional information from the market. You need to buy some information to make some decision. So when you look at that, you calculate the present value of underwriting cost. Why have I not divided this entire amount by a discount factor? Why have I not divided it by a discount factor? Because this will occur at the beginning of the year, right? So you don't need to you don't have to worry about it. The next one is expected claim processing cost. Now, when you have data like this, you often lose understanding of where is what. So let's just go back. Underwriting cost is 15% of pure premium incurred at BOY. Interest rate was 5%. Claim processing paid at year end was 5,000. Now, only when there is a claim will you pay processing cost. If there is no claim, you will not pay processing cost, na? Only when there is a claim, you will pay processing cost. If there is no claim, you will not pay processing cost. And that is the reason why you take the claim processing cost of 5,000 and multiply it by 0.1. Can anybody tell me where the 0.1 has come from? Absolutely. So that's what we got. It's an expected value. And that expected value will only arise if there is a claim. Now this payment, when does it happen? At the end of the year, because this is claims processing cost. So the claims people who are sitting in your office, they need to pay a salary. They might need to go on site and check whether the claim is genuine or not genuine. And you do the same thing here. And when you do it, you move it back by dividing it by 1.05 and you get this number here. Now present value of marketing expenses. Let's go flip back here. Marketing cost paid in the middle of the year, right? And how much is it? So you have 5,000 divided by 1.05 to the power 0.5 because it's only half the year. So the marketing cost is paid in the middle of the year. So you have this. Now fixed commission paid to the agent at the beginning of the year. How much is it? 5%. So I don't, present value of commission is 5%, 500. And then we talked about profit loading, 5% of pure premium. Pure premium was 8,500 multiplied by 5%, you get 425. You do the maths and you end up getting this number here. Where did I miss something? 8095. No, 80, yeah, it should be 8095. It is a typo there. Thank you for letting me know. 8095.23. Yeah. So then it'll drop a number there. So you need to do that. And this is one case. Second case is this one. The policy is deductible of 50,000. So everything is same. The deductible of the policy is 50,000, right? When the policy has a deductible of 50,000, this particular value, will it come into our calculations or not? No, because we will not pay for it. So what happens here? You have 100,000 minus 50,000 multiplied by only 0.07 and not 0.3 because the only claim that you will have is anything over 50,000. Rest of the maths remains absolutely same except for one important change. Here you have got 5,000 for claims and it is now 0.07 because if you don't have a claim, you are not going to have claim cost because you will not pay any money to the claims people. So you do the maths and you end up getting something as 5354. Your deductible premium has dropped because now a fair share of the exposure is lying with the insurance people, with the person insured. Let's talk about a third case. Policy has deductible of 50,000 and coverage limit of 80,000. Now what happens? So under 50, I'm not going to pay you anything. Over 50, will I pay you something? Up till 80,000. So now the question to the class is the third question. What is my exposure? 30,000. Exactly. So now we go through the entire thing. 80 minus 50 is 30,000, 0.07. Run the entire maths as is, and you find that it has gone down to 3746.05. So you have due to deductible, policy limit, and premium drop. You do the comparison here. Of course, it's a little on the high side because of the numbers there. But you do the maths, you see what? That when it was full coverage, you were charging 11,000. Now you're charging 5,000, and you're charging 3,000. And exposure to risk declines, so does the premium. This is a dummy base case which I set up to explain to you how rating factors work because I talked about rating factors and why it is so important in the world of underwriting. And here what I did essentially was I just created this. I said, okay, geography, are you a blue collar, white collar worker? What is your age? What is your gender? What is your PIN code? This is Vasant Kunj essentially. And I determined that for all these things written in English, the base factor would be 1 because I would say that this is my base customer or my normal type of my customer, and I gave him a rating of, a rating of 1. and I said rating factor is geography multiplied by blue, and the premium, whatever we did in the last slide, remains. Now we have another customer who comes up, and this customer is from Bihar, has got he's a blue collar worker, she's a blue collar worker, age is 35, gender is female, pin code is so much. The question that comes up next is what should be the factor that how should I, and all these basic factors which give a measure of risk, these factors have changed, because as you can see some of these factors have changed, and when these factors have changed, how should I assign the numbers here for me to be able to compute the premium? So I have given it 1.21, 0.8, 0.95, 1.05. The question to the class is, how did I come to these numbers? Looking at the historical numbers, I came up with this number, and this whole historical analysis that I keep talking about is what analytics is all about. In the insurance industry, for me to figure this out that, oh, gender is female, 0.95, geography is Bihar, 1.2, which means more risky than New Delhi, age is 35, so less, maybe perhaps more mature person, a more mature person would be driving a car more nicely. So instead of 1, I gave it 0.8, female, location conservative, 0.95. This is something I decided to do. And I did that, and I found that I had a rating factor of 1.1088. And this rating factor, I took it and I multiplied by what? The present value of expected claims. I made that, and I came with 10916.14. So in a base one would be about 11, non-base is gone down. And it makes sense because you see in these two cases, this person perhaps has gone down, and when the person has gone down, which has maybe contributed to a drop in the overall price. Yeah. So geography as a factor, pin code because Bihar is very big, no? You could be Delhi on its own, Gaya. So I said, okay, 80001 pin code is actually Boring Road, Patna. So within Bihar, what do I have? So I have something called Bihar, and within Bihar, which city, which location, you are going to be able to map it down. That was my way of thinking about it. That Bihar is very big, I want to get down to the particular pinpoint location. Yeah, but there's a correlation risk here. You see, geography and pin code, there's a correlation risk. And that correlation risk you have to take into more advanced models. So there's a correlation risk here, which you'll have to model into your advanced model. It's just a basic model, but you put it into a more advanced model. Yeah. Yes, we are further bifurcating it. What the correlation will be, you cannot say it's 1 or not, because you'll have to check it out for different pin codes. Take 8001, take different pin codes in Bihar, and try to figure out what the correlation factors are. The correlation factor is not just that it's in the same city. The correlation factor could also be the levels of crime, for example. Absolutely. As I said, there are lots of rating factors. Many of them become irrelevant as we start doing pricing. But we start with something. The example I gave you was that North Pole and South Pole. So moving on here. Deductibles reduce the effect of relatively frequently low severity claims. Policy limits ensure that the insurer is secure, and exposure to risk is reduced the premium income by the insurer. Rating factors are subjective, and factors assigned vary by insurer. And finally, the analytics of it is establish relevant rating factors, determine deductible and policy limit, minimize the likelihood of claims. Now let's talk about life insurance. I think all of you are excited about life insurance, right? So life insurance is male, age 30 years, term 5 years, policy type term life, one-time premium payment, cover of 10,000, sum assured. So if you die, you get paid up. If this person dies, he gets 10 lakh rupees, but the death must happen between the ages of 30 and 35. Correct, because this is a 5-year term insurance. Excellent. And then I have given you a very high interest rate of 10%. You don't need such a high interest rate. It's very hard to get this kind of interest rates in today's world. Mortality table, assumed mortality. I've given this numbers which you just saw here has been taken out from that orange book which I was showing you today. And then you have got commission of 5% paid, and then you have got a profit loading. We have another customer whose male, age is 40 years. Everything else remains the same. The only difference is age. One was 30 years old and the other one was 40 years old. So in the first case, what we found was that how did we do the pricing in the first case? When will this person be paid a claim? Between the ages of 30 and what event must occur for the claim to be paid? Death. So between 30, if this person was to die between 30 and 31, that probability of death is what? 0. Between 31 and 32, between 32 and 33, 33 and 34, 34 and 35. All these values is what comes from the mortality table. Actually, I have pretty much lifted it out from the book I was showing you this afternoon. That is the good news, because you don't have to sit down and compute them. By habit, probability of survival is what? 1 minus probability of death. So it's nothing but 1 minus probability of death. Why did I compute it? Just by habit. How much is the sum assured? 10 lakhs. It was given to you, right? And the payment is going to happen at the end of the year of death. So if you were to die between 30 and 31, you get it on your 31st birthday, between 31 and 32. There can be lots of combinations possible, but just keeping things very simple. What is actuarial present value? So you've heard about net present value? Yes. Something like this? At the age of 30 and at the age of 35? We all agree with this? Okay. So what is happening here is the following, that if this person was to die between 0 and 1, he will be paid how much? 10 lakhs. What is the probability that this person will die? 0.00006. So the probability that he will die, and if he was to die, he is going to be paid 10 lakhs, right? When will this payment occur? It will occur at the end of. So what do you have to do? You have to bring it back. What do you do? 1 plus 0.1. Now the discount factor that you were asking me 1 minute ago is nothing but 1 divided by 1 plus 0.1. Take the cash flow out, and just if you keep 1 divided by 1 plus r, then that becomes the discount factor. And what will be the discount factor here? Exactly, 1 divided by 0.12. So what happens here is that for every time death occurs, probability of death multiplied by the amount you are going to receive divided by 1 plus 0.1, because you have to go back. Exactly. So that is what I have essentially done here, and this is known as APV method, summation for all the years, because you have 5 years, right? This is called actuarial present value. You have talked about net present value. In the net present value computations, you never multiply it by any probability. Here there is a probability of death occurring. Only when the death will occur will the payment be made. So you are weighting it with the probability of death, and for lack of any other word, we call it actual present value. So what has happened essentially here is the following. Probability of death, sum assured, multiplied those two. I calculated that number 1 by 1 plus 0.1, and that is 0.909. Took this number and this number, multiplied it all together, and what did I get? 547 point. Did it for these 5 years, added it all up, and I get 2413.63. You were to do the same thing for the other person who's at the age of 40, and if you were to run the maths, you will end up getting 3783.50. Now, between the two cases, what changed? Age is changed. As you became, probability of death increased. You can see 0.602 point. So you see almost a jump of 56% in premium just in a span of 10 years, keeping everything constant. And that is the reason when customers go and start asking, you know, my son or uncle bought this, he bought it for so much, I am buying it, it's so expensive. Why is it so expensive? It's expensive because you're older. That's what is happening here. So that is what happened here, and so the premiums went up. Of course, then I added the commission and I added the profit loads to it, and I made it what it was. So this is what I wanted you to understand from this analytics piece, that this is another thing that happens. And then we talk about endowment insurance, and what in the endowment insurance, what was the one good thing about endowment insurance? Exactly, you get some amount if you live. So now the question is that first you must live, right? And once you live, you'll get some amount. And in this kind of situation, again, the payment will be made at what age? If you live 35, right? So this you have already seen 5 minutes ago. This is all the term insurance part. This is the survival benefit provided the person lives. So if he lives, he'll be 35 years of age. Instead of multiplying by probability of death, you will multiply by probability of survival. 10,000 discount factor you already know how to compute. So you take probability of survival multiplied by sum assured multiplied by the discount factor, and this will be the actuarial present value. And the two together will give you what is the premium. And in this particular case, I have on purpose ignored taxes and commissions. So that is what is happening here. Endowment insurance is very, very popular insurance in India. A lot of people want endowment insurance, including me, because if I was to invest and I was hopefully going to live that long, I'm going to get a lump sum amount of money from the bank. Runoff triangles usually arise in non-life insurance, where it may take some time after a loss until the full extent of the claims have to be paid are known. It is important that the claim be attributed to the year in which the policy was written. There are many reasons which cause delay in the final claim settlement. It is clear that the insurance company does not know the exact figure, and it must estimate this as much confidence and accuracy as possible. So you have a claim event has occurred, claim has been reported, claim payment has been made, and claim file has been closed. The problem is that I want to know that what will be the amount of claims that would come for the policies which I have written this year in the future, so that I can keep enough money in my pocket that in the future when they come back for the claim, I have the money to pay them. So there are some basic definitions. Year in which the incident happened and the insurer was on risk is called the accident year. So this is the accident year, 2008. The number of years until a payment is made is called the delay or development period. Here it is almost a delay of 3 years. Claim data is divided by the accident year and development year. So what happens is that in 2008, perhaps I had written 10,000 insurance policies. Out of these 10,000 insurance policies, I started getting accidents happening, and these accidents took approximately 3 years to fully pay out. Fully pay out means all the people who were met with an accident, they went to court, I went to the court, and knowing how the Indian courts operate, it can take more than 5 years, right? But I do at the end of the day have to pay the money to the claimants, right? So I need to be able to keep enough money to pay the claimants. So this is basically the structure of an accident year, development year. The question for us is, how do we take this forward? So this is a runoff triangle. It is the claim payment by policy year. So in 1996, this is the policy year, and in this policy year, some claims were generated, which was 5108, and corresponding to this claim, corresponding to the claims that were raised in this time frame, it continued to grow up till year 5. As you can see, the claim amount has started to decline, right? So let us say there were 10,000 policies which were written in 1996. In that 10,000 policy, we can clearly see that maybe 1,000 policies had an accident. The 1,000 policies which had an accident, they lodged a claim with us, and as we were paying the claims every year for those 1,000 policies, we paid 5108, 960, 490, 210, 75, and 24, and we slowly reduced till such time all the claims pertaining to the policies of 1996 were over. Now for 1997, as you can clearly see, we have not yet finished. Something is missing here. For 98 also something is missing, 99 also something is missing, 2000 is something is missing, 2001 also something is missing. So we don't have what information we have is available on the slide. What we don't have is we don't know the rest of this information out here. So the next thing that here is for claims arising, the final claim payment happened in 2001 and the amount was 24. Claims on issued runoff ended by 2001. The claim policies of issued in 1996 up to 2001 is 6,867. So for the policies issued in 1996, the claims that came in, sum total of all of this, it is 6,867. 1997 up to 2001 is 7,570. I want to complete this triangle because I want to know what are the future claim payments which I will have to make, and therefore I should be able to reserve the amounts here. In order to do that, how much money should the insurer set aside for claims from 1997, 1998, 99, 2000, and because of runoff has not occurred for these years as it has for 1996. So the first step in this process is determine the cumulative claims. So 5108, add to it 960, 490, because these are individual claims. 5108 plus 960 is 6068, plus 490 is 6558, plus 210 is 6768, plus 75 is 6843, and plus 24 is 6867. That is step number 1 in trying to figure out how the claim patterns are looking like on a cumulative basis instead of only looking at individual claims in a year. Step number 2 is to create what are known as developmental factors. These factors are nothing but ratios which will help us in projecting these uncertain claims into the future. So what the first thing that you do is you add up all these numbers 6068, 6730 right up till 9380, and you divide it by the sum of these numbers in the red. When you do that, it is basically 38118, 32118, and the answer is 1.187. What does developmental factor mean? What are we trying to do? Because we are comparing years to years in terms of years. So if we are doing the maths here, right? So if we are taking only these years, then we are not taking this last year, because corresponding to this blue we have the red. Corresponding to this, we will again not consider this number here. Comparing the apples to apples comparison here. This is one way of doing it, not the final way of doing it. And the next thing that you come here is developmental factors. So D10 is so much, D21 is so much, D32 is so much, D43 is so much, D54 is so much. Okay, great. So I got all these numbers. Means nothing to me. I don't know what it means to you, but these are some great numbers. The question is, how do we apply this? So what we are now going to say is that, okay, the developmental factor is 1.187 when we go from 0 to 1. So we went from 0 to 1. With this information available, if I had to project 9,000 to the next year, what would I do? Multiply, right? So that is what is happening here. So I take 9,000, I multiply it by 1.187. I take 9,000, multiply by 1.187, I do 1.079. I take 9,000, continue like that till the very end, and that fill up the entire triangle. And once I filled up the entire triangle, it looks something like this. So this was the initial cumulative payments, and this is all the numbers in red is what I have been able to compute here. Now, if you look at your cumulative payment by policy year in column number 5, what do you see? Are you seeing something in column number 5? What you see, of course, it's increasing, but we have assumed that in 5 years' time, we will be finishing off all the claim payments. So these would be the for policies written in 1996, my ultimate cost from my wallet will be 6867. For policy written in 1997, the ultimate cost, all of this taken into account, will be 7597. For 1998, it will be 8349, 1999, 9639. For 2000, it will be so much and so much. Great. So I now know what kind of money I should be expecting to hold on in order to pay the future claims. But remember that when I talk about 7597, I have already paid something off. What did I pay something off? This was already paid. Here it is 8349. How much have I paid off? 8230. So finally we are in a position to see what the reserve is. These amounts have already been given to you. They are already paid. This is what you should be paying by the time 5 years comes. The gaps are all written here, 7570, 7597. You have all the gaps here. And if you were to look at it, additional capital to be reserved is 4,847 by adding up all these numbers. And this is known as the chain ladder method of reserving and has been in existence for the last maybe 60 to 70 years. There have been lots and lots of developments which have happened on this methodology, but the core methodology per se has not changed. This is what capital modeling actuaries do for a living. They only do more enhancements to it, because things like I have not taken into account inflation. Do you think that the claim cost is not going to inflate because of inflation? It will inflate because of inflation. Do you think that the time value of money which you learnt in the previous class will also kick in? I have not taken into any discounting factors. So all those additional attributes you can do if you are interested in doing analytical modeling further. With this, I wanted to show you how reserving is done, how pricing for life insurance is done. I wanted to also show you how pricing for non-life insurance is done. We are done, and we enter the last 10 minutes of the class. I'll try and keep it brief. Longevity, current trends. People are living longer, which means what? Retirement age is getting pushed. We need money in order to support people who are going, and this is a very big cause of concern in the pensions industry worldwide. More people have to work, they have to work much more longer. I'm not happy about it, but I have no choice. Cyber security, WannaCry, USD 8 billion, not Petaya, Ukraine based, 850 million. A major global cyber attack could trigger an average of 53 billion of economic losses, a figure on par with a catastrophic natural disaster such as US Superstorm Sandy in 2012. Who is the author of these famous words? Lloyds of London. They are the people who believe that if they have done a study and they figured out that we are talking about 53 billion of economic losses. The best part about WannaCry was that once it hit the American platforms, people who are working professionals, and as working professionals, we are often told you should not take laptops home and you should not use your laptop for personal work. They were all being sent messages, please use your personal laptop to work. Because the government, the official laptops had crashed, only your personal laptops and personal access was working. Insurers are struggling to estimate their potential for cyber-related issues and mounting cyber risk and interest in cyber insurance. We have no idea in the insurance world today what this risk is, how to price it, how to manage it. We think we know, we don't know. Economic costs includes business interruptions and computer repairs. Pension deficit. Back in 2000, the average pension fund was fully funded according to the Center for Retirement Research. I should have mentioned that this is the US numbers. At the end of 2015, the official funding ratio was just 72%. According to best estimates by the American Academy of Actuaries, Society of Actuaries, the funding is down to 27%. Is there a reason why people like us work in the US, pay Social Security, and when we come back home to India, that Social Security is not refunded to us? That Social Security is not refunded to us because it is being used by the American government for funding the people in America who are American citizens. And that was the whole contention point that the former Prime Minister had raised and was told that no, sorry, this is something that is almost, I see it as a tax for working and studying in America if you're ever going back to your home country. I also have a significant amount of money in that and I'm not too happy about it.
But if you go there once you are 65, would you still get?
Not unless you're a citizen or a green card holder. But then if you're a green card holder or a citizen, then you have to pay heavy taxes because of the new regulation called FATCA, which says that if you own any kind of property or any kind of wealth outside the America, it is taxed at 50%. So I'm not so sure I want to go back. We'll see about it. Low interest rates. Many parts of the world have negative interest rates. And in fact, in Switzerland, being about 3 years ago, the interest rate was negative 2%. So you put in 100 rupees in the bank, and how much did you get back? 98 rupees. It's not fun. The challenge is not that the interest rates are low. The challenge is that it leads to a very difficult competitive market. The Japanese have always had a low interest rate of how much? 0 for the last decade. Every time I used to go and do M&A work, go and try to buy a company. So let's say I bid for a company 100 rupees, just making it simple. The Japanese would come and bid for the same company 300 rupees. Why? What did I do wrong? Well, I bid 100 rupees because my corporate team told me that I have to, once I buy the company, I have to give them a return of 14 to 16%. For the Japanese companies where cost of capital is 0, even if they get 1% or 0.5% return on buying a company, they are more than happy to buy a company. So every time I went to bid for these companies, I wanted to buy one of the world's largest, as I was part of a team, we were trying to buy one of the world's largest life insurance companies out of Asia to expand the footprint. I was outsmarted, outwitted in no time. Current trends and challenges, geopolitical risk, departure of major stakeholders, transatlantic partnership. We don't have to talk about the Paris Accord. Most of you know what it is. Dan Broderick, Harvard economist, a theory which describes the globalization trilemma in which among democracy, national sovereignty, and global economic integration, only two could be simultaneously compatible. The World Economic Forum in the year 2016 published a report in conjunction with the Wharton School and the Zurich Insurance Group, in which they said that the greatest threat to the world is geopolitical risk. And that is a huge problem because more and more countries are becoming nationalistic, which means that if you are an insurer and you want to insure cross-border interconnected risk, you cannot easily insure that, which means premiums go down. Underwriting cycle is actually a very important concept in the world of insurance. What happens in an underwriting cycle is that when the market is soft, profits are down, competition decreases, capital needed to underwrite business is down. What we are in today with low interest rates is an underwriting cycle, deep soft underwriting cycle, where companies are really struggling hard to make money. When a catastrophe hits, people rush to the market to take insurance cover, and what happens to the prices? They shoot up. That is what the cycle is about. This is the soft market conditions and these are the hard market conditions. The sad part about the hard market conditions is that 8 years ago when I started working in insurance, people said it's only going to, the hard market is coming in 3 to 4 years, don't worry, things will be very nice, markets will grow, you will get good bonus at the end of the year, salary increments will happen. 4 years went by, 5 years went by, now 8 years have gone by. But markets are not becoming harder. Do you know why? Quantitative easing. So much of money has flooded the markets that today American companies have got rich credit lines with global banks that should a catastrophe hit them tomorrow, they will rather go and take the money, use that credit line versus buy insurance. And because the insurance rates have also gone up, remember R is very, very low. So the premium has gone up. So nobody wants to buy insurance. Bad times. Current trends and challenges. Telematics. Even the IRDA is interested in this. Can reduce the premium charged to customers. Basically what is happening is that you have a small black box, you put it inside your car, you drive your car. If you have an accident, nanoseconds, it transmits all the data to the insured company. In UK, the company I worked for had 3.4 terabytes of telematics data. Tell me, why could we not use it? None of us knew how to understand that data, the sanctity of that data, the quality of that data, converting that data into a platform or into some kind of meaningful use. 3.4 terabytes. You can't be going through record by record by record. You take that and convert it into a format which some of us can use, some of us can understand. So finally, the chief actuary of UK decided and said, you know what, I'm going to call in a third-party vendor to help us do it. And last I checked, he was still trying to figure out how to unravel the telematics data. Current risk, modeling catastrophe risk, floods in Thailand. This is actually an interesting one. There's a lot of analytical work happening in this space. And why this is interesting is because this was 2011. I was about a year and a half into insurance and the Thai floods happened. There was a company in the Silicon Valley which had its manufacturing operations in Thailand, in an area where none of us, no weather map showed any kind of flood or any kind of problems happening. Naturally, because there was no big problem, the company only bought a cover of 50 million from my company. When the floods hit, that entire thing was gone. They sent us a bill, claim amount of $2 billion. And how much did we pay them? $50 million. It was a startup company with venture capital fund in Silicon Valley, gone. So there's a lot of work happening in catastrophe modeling, understanding how weather patterns are changing, understanding how tectonic shifts of the earth are happening, where is going to be the next earthquake. For example, in California, whenever we do home insurance, we put a rider there saying, any damage due to earthquake not covered. Because the joke in California is you might sleep on one side of the bed and get up on the other side of the bed tomorrow because the earth is moving too fast there. In Japan, due to Fukushima, there were no losses which were incurred. Can you tell me why no losses were incurred? Because we said in our policy documents that if it is because of typhoons, we will not cover it. Sorry. damages because of type. Because we know that those areas are prone. We are like, it's no more insurance. We are 100% sure that something will go wrong. Not that I know of, but I'm sure they might be doing some of it, but I'm not sure if, I'm not aware of it.
It's so common here.
Yeah, it's very common here. Terrorism, what is covered? Damage to property and inventory. Companies can also purchase business interruption coverage that would go into effect if they are made to operate because of an attack. Not covered is NBCR, nuclear, biological, chemical and radiological attack. Cyber risks are usually covered under separate policies. AI and automation. Recently reduced AI claims handling and saved 40,000 work hours by speeding up the claim processes time to 5 seconds. Tom D. Swan was the chairman of Zurich's Worldwide Board. We invented, they put in this artificial intelligence software, which what it does is very cool. What it does is that when you put in a claims form with all the details, it scrapes out keywords. It's called data mining, text mining. Scrapes out keywords and figures out if this needs to go to a more specialist person to look at it, or it can just be dealt with. Module 5 will be very quick. I wanted to just go around the world in one slide. North America, one of the most advanced and developed markets in the world. The US, of course, leads the way because they have an insurance for everything from property to home to car to bicycle to whatnot, iPhone and everything. Pets, yes, absolutely. They are right now dealing with the crisis of Obamacare. A lot of analytical bandwidth is being used up to try to estimate the cost of medical health care in the US. South America, the market is not very well penetrated. Regulations are not very, very clear. And people feel that there are few things which work well in South America, like home insurance or car insurance, but there is nothing exotic, like you won't be insuring a very big bank. All that doesn't happen. It's very, very basic kind of insurance that they do. Market is very under-penetrated. The regulations are not very, very clear and helpful. And on top of that, the economic environment in countries like Argentina is a big challenge because you have talked about hyperinflation and you know what happens with that. Europe, one of the most mature and developed markets in the world. AXA, AIG, Zurich Insurance Group, Swiss Re, Munich Re, Lloyds of London, all of them operate out of Europe. London is the home. So in London, there is this 3 square miles, just like in Gurgaon. In London, there's 3 square miles. You walk around that, and every other person you meet will be from the insurance sector. They have their usual set of challenges about annuities and taking pension and converting it into annuities versus not doing that. The markets in automobile insurance are in shambles, making a lot of losses there. Very hard to sell these companies off. But one good thing about London is that the entire world comes to London, Frankfurt and Paris for doing very, very high-end specialist insurance. So all these factories on the western coast of India, which you see in Gandhinagar and Jamnagar and all of these places, many of them are not insured out of India. They are insured out of the London market using specialist underwriters and insurance companies. Yeah, Lloyds. Middle East. The story in Middle East is that I was looking to go into Riyadh. I was trying to buy a company out there. They said they will not give me a license. I said, fine. I said, if you were to give me a license, hypothetically, will you provide me with educated people to run the business? They said, no. You must understand, we need employment. Your job is to hire people up to class 12th education and train them to become actuaries, underwriters and so on. So, bunch of people, yes, everybody there is His Excellency or some big name, His Excellency, yes, Excellency. Thank you so much for your advice. Unfortunately, we are a global company and we can't go back to our board and say these kind of things. We'll visit you sometime in the future. Africa, other than South Africa, the rest of Africa is very difficult to do any kind of business. Regulatory environment is not there. Because you see, end of the day, insurance is a contract. If you cannot enforce that contract, how does insurance thrive? Asia, my favorite. So China, I lived in Hong Kong for 3 years. So China. So in China, this is the way it goes. Sir, I want to sell insurance in China. Okay, great. You can sell it, no problems. You can put in an application. Fine, I put in an application. What comes out of the application? One license to sell in one city. Okay, where do you want? Beijing or Shanghai? Sir, Beijing. Okay, Beijing. Then 3 years goes by. Sir, I want to go to Shanghai also. Why don't you think about going to Siberia first for 3 years? You can open a shop in Siberia. All companies open a shop in Siberia. Go to Siberia. How do I explain to the worldwide, to a Western board sitting out of America or in London that I'm going to go to Siberia to sell insurance? So in the 3 years that I was there, we were only able to open one branch in Beijing. And the last time I checked, it's been some 7-8 years, they've got one branch in some part of China which no one knows. Philippines, they gave so many insurance license to insurers. They started massive competition in the market. Profitability just disappeared. No foreign insurer wants to be there. Japan, highly developed country, love the place. The challenge is there are 3 insurance companies, Japanese insurance companies, which pretty much control the entire 99. Last time I did the maths, it was 99% of the market. So there's only 1% which is, everybody else. AIG, Zurich Insurance Group, Swiss Re, Munich Re, we're all in that 1% bucket. Indonesia, there's always this political instability with the king. So, insurance companies do go there. They do life insurance business, but not Indonesia, sorry, Thailand. But they do business with, but not too much. Indonesia, Malaysia, very, very developed countries, very, very good, strong regulatory environment. However, talent is a problem. We don't find talent and to do actuarial underwriting claims, but we can't transport talent from India or some other part of the world. India, less I said the better. Australia and New Zealand, the most advanced country when it comes to insurance policies, products and regulations is Australia. But also they are more strict than the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States of America. They have very clear ideas about how they want to run the markets, who can play, who cannot play, and so on and so forth. And I would, as I said, in my entire life, is that one market which I would say is really solid, rock solid, that is the Australian market. And if you ever get a chance to see their products and the regulation structure and so on, please give it a shot. Please look at it. It's quite interesting. They're thinking about how to deal with life insurance, how to deal with pensions. This debate that we have in Europe about pension and who should be paying and who should not be paying, those debates are not there. It's very, very clear who should be paying, who should be not paying. Australia is what I was talking about. And finally, a few questions. And anybody who wants to answer can answer. Is Lloyd's of London an insurer? No. What is it? Absolutely correct. It is a marketplace. It brings in a lot of syndicates who bring in their capital. Underwriters sit there. People who want to write esoteric risk. Sana Jayasuriya's forearms. Please come here. Bring you all together and they do the insurance policy. So they don't actually are not. So if this is the only company in the world which is the insurance marketplace. There is no other insurance marketplace in the rest of on planet Earth. What are the 3 keys for an insurer? Thank you. Name the table from which actuaries get survival and thank you. Name one. Chain ladder method, absolutely right. Post the 2008 financial crisis, interest rates were at a record low. What are the 2 main effects it had on insurance? In conclusion, insurers continue to seek profitable customers. It's getting more difficult to find them. Analytics is being used to identify good risk and price it. Claims are being processed by robots. Current analytics has its limitations for example, when we do customized contract pricing for insuring the board of directors of Apple, Amazon, and HSBC, human intervention can be reduced through analytics but not eliminated. And overall, the current view about the insurance market and the analytics and how it going to go about can be summarized in what I often use with my teams. And this is what I tell my teams. Uncertainty is certain, but worrying is optional, because when my team start talking about artificial intelligence and all of that, they start saying, sir, my job is going to be gone, sir. I said, relax. Uncertainty is certain. Let's focus on trying to get things done. And finally, thank you. I don't know how useful or how useful it was not, but I did try to cover an entire paradigm of insurance for you guys to see in one 2-hour session. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a nice weekend. I think your weekend is packed, right?
This brings us to the end of this tutorial on analytics in insurance. Now, before you guys sign off, I'd like to inform you that we have launched a completely free platform called Great Learning Academy, where you have access to free courses such as AI, cloud, and digital marketing. So, guys, thank you very much for attending this session. Have a great learning ahead.